Hello, I'm Aaron and welcome to Board Game Academy. So let's talk about board games. Board games have become increasingly popular in recent times, and not just the traditional types of board games we think of like chess, Scrabble and Monopoly. There are now so many different types of board games that it can be quite difficult for someone who's just getting their feet wet to navigate the breadth and depth of the hobby. We are here to help. Here at Board Game Academy, we intend to help you with the what, how, when, where and why of the board gaming world. So, where do we start? This is episode 1, Intro to Cardboard-Based Entertainment Systems, and we intend to help you answer the question, what is a board game? Board games are actually part of a greater family of tabletop games, which includes stuff like role-playing games, tactical miniatures games, card games, and dice games. But the main difference between those and board games are that board games use some sort of pre-marked board and also some pieces or counters that get moved around. As you play more board games, you'll also come to realize that there are a lot of categories of board game types. And it's quite useful to know what the different types are because it will help you understand what kind of games that you like, and it'll help you find similar games that you like as well, or even if you're just trying to buy a gift for a friend who plays board games. So let's tackle the major categories of board games. The two main ones that we talk about are Eurogames and thematic games or Ameritrash games. Eurogames take their name from the European style of design, and they usually focus a lot on mechanical elegance and function, and there's usually less player interaction or direct conflict, and even less player elimination. They usually are a little bit more abstract, but that makes the games a lot cleaner and easier to teach, but can be a little less thematic. And traditional examples of Eurogames are Settlers of Catan, Agricola, and Ticket to Ride. Thematic games, on the other hand, are ones that focus on delivering a theme or an experience to the players. They usually have a little bit more luck, which actually brings out dramatic moments in games, but at the expense of mechanical elegance. Examples of thematic games are Battlestar Galactica, Eldritch Horror, and the very popular Zombicide. And when we talk about the moniker Ameritrash, it's not actually a signifier of the quality of the game, but it's just a nickname for that style. And they usually actually have really high production values to evoke the theme. So, it's a measure of quality as well. Another big category of board games are customizable games. The granddaddy of customizable games is Magic the Gathering, and usually customizable games are ones where you can customize your deck or your group of minis and fight against someone else or play against someone else that does the same thing. So you can also have customizable minis like the X-Wing miniatures games, and Fantasy Flight also has their line of living card games which are customizable but don't require random boosters. And examples of that are the Game of Thrones LCG and Android Netrunner, which is very popular nowadays. On the classical side, abstracts are games which don't really rely on a theme and usually have perfect information. A lot of classic games are abstract games, so stuff like chess, Go, and checkers. But there are also modern classic games which are quite interesting, like GIF and Ingenious and Quirkle and Blockers. On the other end of the spectrum are war games, and war games are a very specific type of board game which focus on historical simulation, and they usually have very complex mechanics and focus a lot on the historical accuracy of the game, and they tend to try to model certain battles or periods in wars. Next, we'll talk about party games, and party games are traditionally the ones that you think of when you talk about going for a game night. They usually can take a lot of players and involve less strategy aspects, so stuff like trivia and drawing and acting. So things like Cranium are party games, but also modern things like Wits and Wagers and Dixit. The final category I want to talk about are dexterity games. And dexterity games are the ones that use some sort of manual dexterity or skill. Traditionally, things like Carom and Crokinole are dexterity games, but there are also now modern takes on dexterity games like Catacombs and Rampage. So, those are the main categories of board games, but you'll find that not all board games are easily categorized nowadays because there's a lot of hybrid design and crossovers between the different types of board games. Another way that you can use to think of board games are to categorize them by genres and mechanics. So an example of genre is with the train games such as Age of Steam and 18XX. A lot of them use the same theme, which is trains, and also the same mechanics, which are things like network building, pick up and deliver, and investment mechanics. For a mechanic example, Dominion is the archetypical deck building game, and it inspired stuff like Ascension, Trains, and Star Realms. So it's quite handy to group the games with the same mechanics together, because if you like one, chances are you quite like the others as well. There are a large number of different genres and mechanics, and we'll probably be covering a lot of them in future episodes of Board Game Academy. So that's all for this episode of Board Game Academy. Hopefully we helped you get a better understanding of the different types and categories of board games out there. Thanks for watching, and join us next time as we talk about gateway games, which are games that have wide appeal and are usually used to introduce other people to the board game hobby. You can also click subscribe to find more videos from us, and we'll also put more information on the categories that we talked about and the different board games that we talked about today at theactionpointspodcast.com, where I also host a podcast about other aspects of geek culture. You can also send us some comments and feedback, which we always appreciate, and thanks again for listening, and play more games!